So if you are someone who has to eat a special diet, or you have allergies or a new diagnosis or anything like that, it can be super, super challenging. The struggle's real. It can be real when it comes to just wanting to eat well for your body, to support your wellness. And I personally know what that's like. My family knows what that's like. So I hope that these videos can be an encouragement to you. So just to feed yourself and to feed your family well while supporting your health, while supporting your wellness, and dealing with some of the challenges that come with having to eat something completely different than you may have been used to. I'm starting with ground lamb. I have some oats, I have some eggs, some seasoning, some garlic cloves, some onions, and you can use peppers or celery for this. I absolutely love using ground lamb because it just has a really rich flavor. I love using onions. They're in garlic, they're high in allicin, which are actually cancer fighters, and I really, really love just how juicy things stay with lamb. I put everything into a bowl. I've got my egg, I've got my seasoning in there. I'm gonna mix it all up. You can also use gloves, but I ran out, so I'm just using the spoon. I'm using a pasture raised egg, and I'm using some oats, and this is such a great replacement for like panko breadcrumbs or any sort of breadcrumbs, because oats are super, super great for you as far as fiber goes. They're high in beta glucan, which is a specific type of fiber that actually lowers the bad cholesterol, like the LDL. To make your oat flour, just get some rolled oats, pop it in a blender, blend it until you get like a coarse meal. This is also going to help your meatloaf to retain some of that moisture, along with using something like a ground beef or ground lamb. These are great options. Once it's mixed up, this is what it looks like. And I didn't have my loaf pan, so I'm literally going to form this into like a loaf shape, so just kind of like an oblong shape. I've got some unbleached parchment, and I'm just going to form that and place that on that cookie sheet. I am going to roast this in the oven or bake it for 375 degrees for maybe about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to put on some ketchup. My son will not eat it without this ketchup, and my husband likes it too. And then I'm going to put it back into the oven, slather that on top, add some of our favorite seasonings, and then I'm going to continue just baking it for about 20 more minutes. Everything's going to get caramelized, and as you can see, it's super easy. It's uncomplicated. Add all of your favorite seasonings, whatever. You can leave the onions out if you don't like those. You can use garlic powder instead of fresh garlic. The possibilities are endless. Go ahead and slice that up, and I am serving it with some dairy-free mashed potatoes. I'll have to share that recipe separately so I can show you the step-by-step. I also created some like little meatball in kind of like a muffin tin. And this is another option if you don't want to do a loaf, or if you don't have a loaf pan, you can just literally just do it like this. And my husband is just cutting inside of his. I was like, can you cut that open so I can see it for the video? But next up is the next meal, and this is a white sweet potato. I literally, when I cook, I grab whatever whole real foods are on hand, things that I think will taste good together, and I just put together just as many whole ingredients as I possibly can. I'm just cutting up this sweet potato. It's been washed, it's been scrubbed. This was an organic one, so I'm not worried about taking the skin off. The skin also provides more nutrients, believe it or not, and also it's going to provide some fiber. So this is a great way to keep our blood sugar regulated and keep things from spiking. Even though you're eating something that's starchy, eating that skin will actually help. I'm going to cut these in half since this was a really long one, and I'm not going for looks here, so this is going to look rustic, but these are so, so delicious. I love any kind of potato, but sweet potatoes especially, and believe it or not, this has an amazing mineral called potassium. We need potassium to regulate electrolytes in our body, and potassium is actually higher in potatoes than it is in bananas, which a lot of people will reach for a banana for their potassium, but potatoes have way more. They are also a good source of vitamin C. So when I say whole foods, this is such a great way to get in. You get in whole foods and just think whole nutrients, whole vitamins, whole minerals. And this is what we want for our body. We want our body to get actual help and nutrients while we're eating, right? We're eating for the purpose of satiating ourselves, but we're also eating for our taste buds if you're like me, but you want to make sure you get as much health bang for your buck. That's kind of how I approach cooking. So I am just slicing these up. I'm putting them in a stainless steel bowl, and I am going to put my favorite oil on these. My two favorites are avocado oil and coconut oil because they have a higher smoke point. And when it comes to sweet potatoes, I really, really love to use coconut oil specifically because it doesn't taste like coconut, but it gives it a richness that it's kind of hard to explain. So I'm just cutting these up. I'm putting them into a bowl. I am going to soak these in a little bit of water to just remove a little bit of the starch because that'll help them cook. And I like that they get a little bit more of a crisp when we kind of soak some of the starch out of that. And you'll see what that looks like in a moment. But I also do the same exact process with russet potatoes, with gold potatoes, and with just regular sweet potatoes, which my family really, really loves. So I'm just cutting these up. I'm going to put these together and you'll see just how easy it is. I'm going to pop these into the air fryer. This is the size, and I'm going to pop these into the air fryer after they've soaked for a little bit. You can look at the water and see how just starchy that gets. You see how all of that starch. So I'm going to pour that out. You don't have to do this. You can skip that step. I just personally like the way that it cooks in the air fryer after I do that. I'm going to add a little bit of sea salt. I think I added a little garlic powder to this. You can add it, season it with whatever you like, drizzle on either avocado oil or coconut oil, or you can even leave them dry. But I'm going to toss this around, pop it in the air fryer, and I typically will just hit the French fry button. I'll link the air fryer that I have below. I've had it for years and I actually bought a second one. So I'm just tossing these around. I'm going to put them in the air fryer, and I think I put it on like 380 degrees if I'm not mistaken, and we're just cooking them for about 15 to 18 minutes depending. You want to check these because they will burn if you're not careful. So I'm just going to set this up. And again, you can use any fry you want. You can cut them into cube shape. It doesn't have to be a French fry. So I'm doing 380 degrees for 20 minutes, but I'm going to check it after 18. Next up, I have a skillet with some coconut oil. You can use avocado oil here also. And I have thin slices of chicken. And I like to get this grass-fed it's like it's called breakfast steak at my local Sprouts, and all it is a thin cut, two thin fillets of steak. I'm going to start in with my chicken and I'm going to cook that. I add different seasonings each time. You can make this spicy. You can make this, my son was eating it even though he likes spicy. I made sure not to make it too spicy for him. So I kept the seasonings really, really simple. I like to use plastic gloves whenever I'm dealing with meat. It's just a habit because I multitask in the kitchen. I don't want to cross-contaminate anything. So once I put that chicken in there, I'll pull these gloves off. I buy like a box of 100 of them. And I want to say that they're like a couple of dollars. And that's something that I keep on hand because it just makes it so quick and easy to get in and out of the kitchen, which is something that I think we all can appreciate. So I'm just going to add my seasonings. I'm adding ground oregano, which it will not make it taste like Italian seasoning. If you've ever made your own taco seasoning from scratch, smoked paprika or regular paprika is usually in it, some sort of oregano, salt, and a lot of times there'll be like cayenne pepper in there, and garlic and cumin. I'm leaving the cumin out because I have histamine intolerance and it really bothers me. So I'm going in with some smoked paprika, the ground oregano. You could use cumin and salt and chili powder if you wanted to. It's a lot healthier to just throw on your own seasonings, which you can also control the sodium, than getting those packets, because a lot of times those little packets will have things like corn syrup solids in them and MSG, and they'll have corn flour and wheat flour. And if you are avoiding gluten, you want to avoid those little packets because you don't really know what you're getting. Once you start cooking this chicken, you're going to, get that little, I'm going to deglaze my pan by adding a little bit of water. I have also done this by adding lime juice, which is a great option, or chicken or vegetable stock, just to give it more flavor. So once that starts cooking, I'm going to add in my steak because I do not like my steak well done and it cooks very, very quickly. So I am going to add in my steak since my chicken is almost completely done cooking. This does not take long at all. I want to say it took like 8 minutes to cook this entire pan. Cook the chicken completely, obviously, but cook the beef to your liking, you know, the doneness that you prefer. So I'm just going to go in and saute. You can taste test after, you know, your chicken is done, taste a little piece and see if it's seasoned to the way that you would like it. And then you can add in I love to add in is fresh garlic. I like to add in fresh herbs because I know that I'm getting those minerals, and the flavor is just so good when you're using those fresh herbs. So I just have some cilantro. I've already cleaned everything, but I'm going to go ahead and just smash some garlic, and I'm just using about 1 or 2 cloves in this particular recipe. So I'm just cutting this up, and again, cancer fighting. I mean, I love cooking with things that I know are giving me health benefits, and on top of that, I'm getting flavor. So I'm going to pop that right into my pan while everything is pretty much done. I'm going to add that to the corner where it's in just a little bit of the oil, let it get a little bit of the, you know, like the pan drippings. And then I'm going to add that fresh cilantro. I'm obsessed with cilantro. It is amazing for you. However, if you do not like cilantro, you could always leave that out. You could add tomatoes here if you wanted to. You could even add, I used to make this. I can't tolerate tomatoes too well. So I used to add in like a little enchilada sauce here or just a little bit of salsa. But make sure that you don't add too much salt if you're going to be adding some additional things like that, because you don't want it to be too salty. So that is what it looks like. It's so easy to make chicken and steak fajitas and quesadillas and all those things at home. This is what our white sweet potato fries look like. I'm adding in a cassava flour tortilla, which is grain-free. This is by Siete. If you've seen any of my grocery hauls, you would have seen this. This is the burrito size, but you can also use the almond flour ones too. This is the Violife cheese that I love, and I ran out of shreds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over this tortilla. I will flip it over again, and I'm just going to cut, well, just fold this cheese slice, honestly, into a couple of pieces. I'll kind of stagger them so I get cheese on all the areas. You don't have to put cheese. What I used to do all the time, especially for my son, because my son was dairy free, you know, for 7 years now, and I would use just refried beans at the bottom because he didn't even like the vegan cheese. He didn't like the texture. I don't know what it was, but he didn't like it, so I would use that. So that's a great tip if you don't want to use any sort of cheese and you want things to still stick together. I think I've shared a video like that before here, but this is what it looks like. I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to add just a little bit of salsa, some shredded lettuce, these white sweet potato fries, and dinner is done. It's that easy. Until next time, your life matters, what you do with it matters, so what will you steward well?